use your time as wisely as you can. And if you don't know how to do it and you don't have time, you need to budget money that you can pay someone else that can do it and have your skills funneled into the things that are going to move the needle for you.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Business Briefs. I am so excited today because I have an amazing guest, Lisa Staff, with us today with Lisa Staff Photography. I was looking at her stuff and it's freaking amazing. In fact, she even uses that word on her website, and then her website's beautiful. The verbiage is beautiful. We were just talking about that. And I am so excited to be here with you today because Business Briefs is all about bite-sized legal and business tips to level up your business. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So welcome, Lisa, to Business Briefs. Thank you for being with us today.
I am so excited. I've had so much fun talking to you already. You need to come back to Hilton Head.
I know. And I was just going to ask you, I know you're in Hilton Head, South Carolina, beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us your business. Like, what do you do in one sentence, 60 seconds, elevator pitch? What do you do?
I'm a photographer. There you go. There's a lot of us now. There's millions of us. I moved here from Canada about 19 years ago because this is such a beautiful location and there's no winter here. But I'm a content creator. I shoot, and I know it's all about niching down, but I shoot people that are loving life, that are enjoying what they do. So whether it's content creation for a business, whether it's family shots, whether it's editorial, I shoot for a magazine here as well. So I'm just inundated with shooting fabulous people and meeting fabulous people. And that's very, very energizing. I love what I do. And I've been doing it for 30 years. So I was a baby when I started.
I know. I'm going to ask you, how did you start? What made you get into like photography? Where did that passion come from?
And this sounds so posturing and douchey, but I was a model. So I was on the other side of the camera, not really great at modeling, just let's be honest, not really tall enough, not really this enough, a lot of imposter syndrome then, much more comfortable on the other side of the camera. And I think because of that, I can relate to people. We usually just have fun. We have a conversation and we just enjoy what we're doing. And that's putting people at ease, in any situation. It always elevates from there. So yeah, much more comfortable taking pictures of fabulous people on the other side of my camera.
Well, I mean, just by looking at you and talking to you for the last 5-10 minutes, I'm not surprised when you first said it to me also that you were a model, because truly you exude that beauty and it's nice and you should be proud of it. I mean, it's not a very common thing for many people to even do in their life, and it's a great experience. In fact, I'm sure that experience helped you become a better photographer because you knew what it was like on the other side.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. You can relate to people. You know what they're going through. You can help them with posing. You can help them find the good light or do the good light, because it's all about the lighting. We all know that.
Yeah, yeah.
All about the lighting and the angles.
Right? Totally. I mean, nowadays everybody is a photographer, and I say that very loosely,
I know.
with their iPhone.
We all are photographers, yes.
So,
and there's so many apps.
Yeah, so many apps to filter, to, edit. I mean, it's fantastic where we are today with technology, because I can't imagine 30 years ago when you did start this, how much more work it might have been.
I spent a lot of time in the dark room, and then I started having kids, and I remember taking my first young baby, strapped on me in the dark room. I'm like, this is probably really not good for them. There's probably a lot of chemicals they should not be inhaling. So yeah, it's changed a lot. We spend a lot more time alone in front of the computer. So it's fabulous when I get to go out and engage with people. I was out at 7:00 this morning shooting a spear fisherman. Like, when else would I get the chance to do that? So and I know business is all about niching down, but I think too, being able to be thrown into a situation and being able to handle that and having the diversity also it's a good asset, right? You can be in any situation, any lighting, any group of people, any type of person, and make it work. And I think that's a good tool to have in your tool belt.
And you know what, with that being said, you keep saying, you haven't niched down because you do serve many different types of clients and then also do many different types of photography sessions. But what I did notice is that as a person just going on your website, you've done a fantastic job on the marketing aspect of it, where you have clearly stated what your client might want out of that kind of session, even though you do a diverse variety of sessions. But it seems like you are absolutely an expert in every single space. And so a person like me would be like, okay, great. I love this. And you kind of like get to the pulse, like the heartbeat of what somebody's looking for also in your marketing, like on your website.
I think it's a collaboration too, right? When you go in and I've worked with other people too, and I'm not denigrating them, but when you go in as the key kingpin, it stops that collaboration and that energy and that flow that comes from other people. And what they bring, what any client brings, whether it's an interior designer that I'm working with and what their vision was and what they're seeing, that just elevates both of you. So if you can kind of leave your ego at the door and know that you're coming in with the talents and the tools to do the lighting, just to work your equipment and do all those things, but also be able to know that fundamentally it's the relationship between you,
Mm-hmm.
then you're both elevating each other and you get into that flow state that sometimes, and I'm sure you get into it too, like
Mm-hmm.
you're just automatically doing the things because you've had so many situations and created that experience that it's like a second sense. You're just doing it and you finish it and you're like, wow, like you could be driving. I remember, and I mentioned to you, like I rebranded my business and started over again, and I was doing it by myself. And I would literally, I would literally be driving to the job going, I can't do this. Like that whole like crying as you go, and you get there and you meet these people, and you just get in your flow state, and you're like, what the heck was wrong with me? Like I think we
Mm-hmm.
underestimate the fabulous innate talents that we have because it comes easily to us, and you think that
Yes.
everybody else has that talent that's so much better than yours, or it's up on that top shelf and you're just kind of down here.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Mm-hmm.
underestimate the skills and the talents that we achieve through our experiences and our life and honing them and our education and all of that.
And also us, like our personality, that also differentiates us and our services. There's always this question of, well, what makes you different from every other company? So we never think about us being the differentiator, but truly that is part of the equation as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's what separates you, right? When if you go on to Instagram or anything else and you're looking at, and let's just say we shouldn't be on it that much because it's a hit to us, isn't it? It's like you have that, like everybody else is doing something great. And
Yeah.
what am I doing? But that's, we can all be selling the exact same thing, but you connect with that person.
Mhm.
So you can't underestimate having that personality
Yeah.
sets you apart. Not saying that my personality is great, but so
No.
that you fit. And that in my business, sorry, I'm talking a lot. In my business, when people are saying, oh, do you not deal with a lot of bridezillas or this or that or other clients? And I'm like, no, I've been really lucky to somehow streamline it that I connect with the people that I feel are very inspiring and we just seem to have an ongoing relationship. So
Mhm.
somehow that marketing is working, that you're connecting with those people.
Yeah.
And when you do have those other clients too, like there's been jobs that I've done that it's a 4-day shoot. And as you're driving away, you're like, hallelujah, I'm leaving. Now, why am I feeling that way? Why am I not elevated? Well, there was just not the right connection with that client.
Hmm. Hmm.
So either you charge them a lot more next time, or you're just not a fit. And you figure
Right.
out how to change that then within your
Right.
business.
And there's so many key things that you just talked about. You talked about collaboration, walking into a room, letting the ego sit on the side, and not being the top gun in the room either, because you learn that way and you're able to collaborate easily. The synergy, because you're open to it. The energy is open to receiving as well as to giving. And then you talked about network. Network is everything. I mean, that's the one thing I learned in business school very quickly. And not because the teachers taught me, but because we had projects to finish. And I'm like, I need help. And so network is everything. And I know you talked about that as well, connecting with others. Now, not all connections will work, not all connections thrive, but the ones that do thrive, you have to give
Mm-hmm,
in order to
mm-hmm.
receive as well.
And it's the right kind of networking, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's not that smarmy, like, here's my
Uh-huh.
business card. And just, like I remember ages ago dating and what dating was like. And it was like coming to a job interview and these men would be telling, oh, I can climb mountains and I can do this and I can do that and I can flip a car with one hand. And you're just kind of like, whoa there. Let's like slow down. networking like that doesn't work, but it's that connection and hey, you know what? I know someone that can help you out. I actually had a friend the other day that called and he's like, I'm having a really hard time finding employees, like hiring people. I'm like, I worked with someone else. She's the bomb at doing that. Let me connect you with her. She can, forward you some people.
Mhm.
It's making those connections that way. And
Yes.
me
Yes, yes.
rebranding my business, that's the only reason it took off so quickly. I had someone that I had been speaking to and had a relationship with her, and she was starting something new. And I didn't realize this. And I had said something to her, and it just kind of stuck because it was just a conversation, stuck in her mind. 6 months later, she gave me a call and said, I'm starting a magazine. I'd like you to be a part of it. And that magazine, although, you're not going to make $1 million working, shooting assignments for a magazine, and some people complain about that, but it's what you do with it. It's you're connecting with someone, you're doing a shoot with someone that you would never have known. They have a good experience, they talk about it with everyone else, and either they hire you back for something or your name gets out there. It might not be within the week, it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years, but you're planting those seeds, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you have to give back. Those genuine connections are the ones that truly help. And I know that we were talking about connections earlier, and I kind of always talk a little bit about the law as well. You had just mentioned also that those are the connections that helped you pick yourself up again. And I know that we all face challenges in our business. So what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced early on? And I know you said that you'd overcome them through the connections as well, but how did you overcome them?
So I had started my business over 30 years ago. um it's over 30 now, oh my gosh.
Experience.
Yes. I'm saged at what I do. And I started it with my husband and thinking, being naive, not thinking about like, I think as business started out 30 years ago, as a woman, which I'm not denigrating that at all either, but we just, I was much more naive. Didn't
Mhm,
think that of partnership agreements and, packing that business the way it needed to be, which you need to do from the start. Like you started
mhm,
out right and then everything else follows. So when our relationship fell apart, nobody knew me. I had
mhm.
my name wasn't on the business because why would I need my name on the business? But hey, nobody knew what I did in the business. They thought that he did everything. So, when you put your eggs in someone else's basket, there's a price to pay for that. And that doesn't mean that you need to be posturing and shouting from rooftops what you do, but people need to know what your value is and what you do too, for so many reasons. So rebranding, starting out, and I did another business on the side too. Tried out something for a couple of years as well while I was doing my photography business that was on my own. Started that out with a partnership agreement and all the things that were necessary, and that made such a difference. And
Yeah.
the mindset going into it, knowing these are the things I don't want to have happen, and these are things I need to protect myself against. Doesn't matter if it's a romantic partner that you go into business with, a sibling, a friend.
Hmm.
I think that protects your relationship separate from the business, and you're both being taken care of. So that's made the difference. And then those
Yeah,
relationships that I created with people have just propelled me forward. But
exactly. And then when you were, that relationship was ending also, and then your business relationship was ending simultaneously, not having those agreements in place and the documents in place probably put you at a higher stress mode or because
oh my
it was more
gosh.
difficult.
Yeah, yeah. You have nothing, basically
Yeah.
nothing. Is that too dramatic?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You have nothing.
No,
You have nothing.
it's not because there's so many of us that get into that situation knowingly, unknowingly, or just in total naivety that, oh, nothing's going to go wrong. And I tell you, I say this to all my clients also, you want to make those agreements when you're all in a happy place because when you're not in a happy place, you never want to agree on anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because too many
And
emotions
there's,
are in place.
yeah, and it can get ugly. And that, if you have that in place, that saves a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of fighting or
Yeah.
anything after, and a lot of shame because I think you carry around a little bit of a backpack of shame from it because you're like, how
Mhm.
could I have been so dumb? How could I have been so
Mhm.
naive?
Mhm.
So to just to alleviate that and start out on just a firmer foundation for everyone involved, I think it gives everyone else a sense of peace and security, right?
Yeah, and it's not that you don't trust the other person, but it's just because a business relationship is separate from an intimate relationship, whether it's again, a sibling or whether it's your life partner or romantic interest, whatever. But it's not like you don't trust that person, but you're just saying, these are the parameters of the business. This is what's going to happen if somebody just wants to say, I don't want to be in this anymore. Even if you're still in your personal relationship, you just don't want to be in the business anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And you're like, I need to exit this right now so I can grow in this other space.
mm-hmm. But that makes sense too, because the business that I walked away from in the last year or so, I had given it 2 years.
Mhm.
And, by all means, you see, okay, there's a need for this. I'm going to go all in, like this is something that I should be doing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. But it didn't make sense for me. After 2 years, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm working like crazy. It's not financially making me anything. It's taking all
Hmm.
my joy. So having that in place, I could walk away from it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just, not have things fall apart and relationships not fall apart and everything like that. It
Right.
was like, you can have it.
And it was
Run, be
easy.
free.
And it was
Right.
easier, much
Right.
easier. So now tell us, where are you in your business today? Where are you in your business cycle?
I'm actually really excited about what I'm doing. And, I feel like every podcast I listen to, they've got books that they're selling, they've got this that they're
Mhm.
selling. I'm not selling anything, which is okay. It's okay,
Yeah.
right? I keep revamping, I keep niching to the things that I like, and I'm still really joyful in what I do. So
Mhm.
I'm doing a lot of stuff on the back end right now, as far as the next couple months slow down for me a little bit. So the beginning of the year for me is just revamping and working on my contracts, working on things that as something came up during the year, I'm like, okay, let's make sure that we have that in our contract, or let's make sure that I've adjusted something or the pricing.
Mhm.
So I'm doing all of that and a lot of automation. I'm pretty good at automation, but I'm going to the next level so that I have more free time to do some other
Mhm.
things besides my gardening and besides purchasing another home. So, like,
That's
you need to
awesome.
have those
Yeah.
other things in place so that,
Yeah.
you have the other things that bring you joy. Because sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, we become so involved in our business. It's really hard to get our hands, like release the death grip on our computer or anything else and walk away. So
Hmm.
kind of giving those opportunities that your business will run. You can step away for a bit and do something else that replenishes you and brings you back. And I've got some really cool jobs that are coming up, and some of them are destinations. So I'm going to Mexico a couple times in May, and I'm doing some other things. And I'm like, this is a good job.
That's
I
awesome.
like what I'm doing.
That is so awesome. And so when, right now you're in a good place, you're growing. And I love that you even said that I'm actually revisiting my contracts. And, I always say this, like take an audit of your year. How did it go? What were some of the good things, the bad things, the ugly things? What worked? What didn't work? What needs to be improved? And I love that you're doing that because that's truly very important once a year to review your contracts, to review everything that you've done and how you can make it better and level it up at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it does. It does. It levels it up.
Yeah.
And those months that you're going crazy because it's like one booking after the other and one content shoot or whatever you're doing, I have it automated and I have everything else taken care of, that just releases a lot of that anxiety and that stress and keeps me more organized. So yes,
Automation is everything these days, everything.
I love being a nerd. Left brain, right
Yeah.
brain. Let's let's get them together.
Yeah, but I mean, it's there. Why not use it? Why not free up that time? Why make it so manual all the time or stressful? Because it clutters the space, I believe.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
Now, before we, end our conversation and this episode, I wanted to just touch base with you and see what are some tips that you could give business owners or specifically photographers who are starting their own businesses right now?
I think if you're starting out, there's a lot of time that you need to hone your skill, your craft, and everything. But you have to be really mindful as well of all the information that you're taking in. Yes, educate yourself, but you don't always need the latest and greatest. My son actually just texted me today and he said, I broke down. I got the newest iPhone. And I'm like, I still have the 10 and I'm a photographer, but I don't shoot on this. But like
Yeah.
sometimes there's the bright, shiny objects. And if you don't know the the baseline skills that you need to know, those bright shiny objects aren't going to make it better. You're going to lose your money on always purchasing the next best thing, purchasing the next best thing when what you have is already good. So I would say that, like, a lot of the time, social media is a thief of joy. You go on there
Yes.
and instead of being inspired, you feel self-loathing. So I think watching that and knowing that that's just a highlights reel and having a healthy relationship with that, I think having the foundation of automations, find a really good program. I have no affiliates, but I use HoneyBook. There's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other ones that are out there, but I've got all my smart files on there for any client I have. For my weddings, if someone inquires on a wedding, it automatically goes into that workflow, and I have like 40 different automations that go out to them just for that one thing. And then if it's
Yeah.
a marriage proposal or engagement or a content creation or something like that, use your time as wisely as you can. And if you don't know how to do it and you don't have time, you need to budget money that you can pay someone else that can do it and have your skills funneled into the things that are going to move the needle for you.
Oh,
Um,
gosh, you
it can be
literally just
overwhelming.
spoke all my like words that I love. I love it.
There's a lot of really good fundamental apps that you need to bring into your business, and
Yeah.
it's well worth, whether it's your bookkeeping, whether it's your automated workflows, whether it's newsletters, which, to be honest, I haven't sent one out for a while, whether it's someone doing your SEO, like doing that for you because you're like, I will get lost in it. Hire that out and get someone that's
Yeah.
professional to do it. Someone professional doing your contracts.
Yes, we need that too. No, I completely agree with you. And HoneyBook is wonderful. HoneyBook has a lot of tools within it also that are super helpful to not just photographers, but mostly a lot of small business owners, creative entrepreneurs out there. It's extremely, extremely helpful. I have a lot of clients that use HoneyBooks. I have a lot of people that I use that use HoneyBooks also. So it's really nice. So, what is your anchor? When things go crazy, what holds you steady?
I don't have a lot of crazy, but I have a codependent relationship with my dogs. That helps. I have a really good morning routine, to be honest. So I was up at 5:30. I had to do my shoot early this morning, so I made sure I got up earlier than that. I do movement, usually weights, because I carry around a lot of cameras, so I need to
Mhm.
keep my body in shape. So I do some weights, I do some movement, not as much cardio as I should do, but hey, that's no guilt there. I do yoga every day. And when the weather is nicer, it was cold the last little while, but I go outside and do it and ground myself in some nature and read something good in the morning, because once
Mhm.
the day starts, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, that mindset of like, I'll
Yeah.
work out tonight. That never happens. I may eat
No.
chocolate at night, but I'm not going
Yeah.
to work out at night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that for me is my, and taking, sometimes just getting up and taking a walk and walking away from whatever you're working on, coming back to it fresh.
Yeah.
I think scheduling as well is really, really important. I think we forget as entrepreneurs that, energy flows. You make room for it, it's going to come in, but you need to schedule it as well. And again, saying no to something, I was always saying yes to something else. But you phone your dentist or you phone your you phone to get your roots done, and they don't get you in the same day. So why, when people phone, do we like, oh, that scarcity, and we try to throw them into our schedule right away?
Yes.
Um, and plan a day. I plan a day as well that Mondays are my day. I may end up working, but I don't book anything. So I'm going to go through my book work. I'm going to see any changes that I need to make, anything that's coming up, anything that I've really wanted to do. So there's a shoot that I really want to do, and I'll start that I've been working on. That's my day to do that. Sometimes I just need to get out and go to lunch with a friend,
Yeah.
or I do need to get my roots done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like, do that day where it's actually scheduled and you're cultivating yourself so that you're filling up your own bucket. Is that too much?
Goodness. Not at all. Such great tips for mental health and wellness.
It's important to have your
It's
roots done.
important. And it's okay to have a day off during the week, or even if you want to say, okay, not every week, but once a month or twice a month, whatever works for you and your schedule. But it's so important to have that day to know that, okay, I can breathe if I need to breathe. I can sleep in or lounge around or, go for my walk and hang out and not have to rush through my coffee or life.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that
absolutely.
is so key. How can everybody connect with you?
Instagram. Get me on Instagram at Lisa Staff Photo. My website is Lisa Staff Photo. See that branding?
Yeah.
Consistent. That's important too. And that's about it. You can reach out to me if you have any questions. I love connecting with people.
Wonderful. Everything's going to be in the show notes and the links will be attached to this episode. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us. I just love talking to you. It's like you spoke so much of my love language just throughout this entire conversation, and it was such a joy. So thank you.
Come back and visit me.
We will. And if you like this episode, please subscribe so you get more of what's coming out of Business Briefs, your weekly dose of business and legal tips.